Hi, I'm Tess,
Hi, I'm Sarah, and we are.
the Happy Edit Sisters. Happiness isn't just being happy, it's an embodied feeling that starts with how we approach life, our actions, and our mindset. Everyone has a range of emotions, and that's a good thing.
Join us as we dive into what it means to be happy and how we build a foundation for happiness through different lenses.
Hi Tess, how are you?
Hello, Sarah. I am doing very well. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm good. It's been, I always talk about the weather. I always notice this. I always talk about the weather to everybody. Could be an English thing. It very may well be an English thing. We love
I
the
don't
weather.
know. I feel like we talk about the Americans talk about the weather as well. I don't know, it's been a long time since I lived there, so maybe they don't.
Well,
I do.
we had a really, really lovely weekend last weekend. The weather was gorgeous and it was like, oh, summer's finally here, or like spring at least. And then the rest of this week it's just been raining. And then but I feel like it's been good because like the plants have all like everything's just bloomed. It's just very green everywhere. And it seems to have dried off a little bit. So I'm hoping that we have a bit of a nice weekend because it's bank holiday weekend. Woohoo! Which I'm very excited about. 3 day weekend.
3 day week would be even better.
Sometimes, sometimes I often wish for a bit of a longer week to fit everything in.
Yes, also true. Also true. Yes, I get that completely. Can I have like 28 hours in a day?
How are
Um,
you? How's everything been going for you, Tess?
yeah, no, really well, really well. We were just actually mentioning before we hit record that this week has kind of been a week of lasts and a kind of a week of firsts for us. And yeah, I kind of feel like that's kind of the theme of how I'm feeling at the moment. Like there's just like a lot of change and good things, but then also, just like, oh, that's no longer going to happen anymore. And it's kind of like, huh, it's interesting, like, and I think it's kind of, we're shifting, as you mentioned, it's really spring now. And so like here as well. And I feel like I kind of feel like that's happening in my life as well. Like, things are that I've been putting loads of work into over many years are kind of starting to come to bloom. And that's really exciting. It's also kind of terrifying. Um, but like change in general, there's always that exciting aspect. There's that like, oh, that little trepidation of like the unknown, um and yeah, I think this week has like a lot of mixed emotions, like gearing on the positive, gearing on like the super excited, but also like, ooh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Somebody said to me this week, I can't remember who it was, and it was something that somebody else had said to them or they'd heard. And again, I don't know, I can't remember who it was that had said this phrase. But one of the things that they said was life begins when we move outside of our comfort zone. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, and it's something that we probably all know and that we all recognize, but actually to hear it as clear cut as life begins after you move out of your comfort zone, I thought that's so true.
It is. It's really true. It's really true. So often like that's, and I think we've mentioned this in like seasons prior as well, but like that anxiety of what's going to happen, right? The more you do those unknown things, the more you're able to realize, hey, I can do it, and you have the confidence to move forward.
Mm.
But it's always, it's always a little bit nerve wracking, and but then there's so much. that can come from it, so much wonderful things, you know, so many wonderful things that can come from it. Yes, there's some things that could be not so great as well, but there's so many wonderful things that can come with this change, right? And life is about experiencing everything. It's not just the good, it's not just the bad, it's not just, you know, keeping on a steady perfect pace, because that's not possible, right? There's always going to be ups and downs. And so, you know, pushing yourself out of those comfort zones, then you're like, oh yeah, okay, I can do this, or oh, maybe I need a little bit more help here.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that we don't have moments of like plateau neither, where we're like, we're just content and, you know, we're just resting and we're okay where we're at.
Totally.
That's good as well. We need those times as well. But then it's really important as well to have those moments of like, oh, I'm just going to push myself past where it feels comfortable, just to see, just put a toe out, just to see what happens. Um, yeah, definitely. You know, like you said before, Tess, that we were having that conversation about um endings and new beginnings um and lots of change, and something that came to my mind when you were just talking then was about um kind of trusting. This is going to sound really cheesy, like a big lump of cheddar, but trusting the process a little bit as well,
Yeah.
of going, do you know, sometimes things happen, you think, oh, why has that happened? And sometimes it's about kind of, okay, well, maybe that's giving room for something else.
Yep.
And yeah, that's something that's kind of, I mentioned that earlier when we were chatting as well, didn't I? But as you were talking, then it kind of came back to me of trusting that process, and actually it might be allowing something else to happen. I really do believe that one chapter can close and then that leaves room for the next chapter to open. And it might feel
I completely
uncomfortable.
agree. I completely agree. I completely agree. You know, I think life, you're speaking about chapters. So, you know, life is like a book, right? It's a story. And books don't just, if a good book doesn't just stay and talk about the exact same thing, right? There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, there's a progression, and it moves along, right? Um, and life is like that. Life is a story, and
Yeah,
you know, we need to live our stories, and those stories progress, they change. And as you say, there's
yeah,
going to be moments of kind of that like stillness, that plateau, but that's not going to last forever, right?
mm,
There's always going to be those ups and downs, and then maybe a little bit more plateau, and then ups and downs. And it's what makes life exciting. A little bit scary, sure, but
mm.
exciting.
Definitely. It's really funny that you said about books actually, because so Cora, so obviously my eldest and my dad, so they've both been writing stories. My dad's been writing one ever since Cora was born, really. And then Cora wanted something to happen in the story. He was writing a story about princesses and kings and queens, and then he wanted the queen to, I think it was the queen, to have a baby, but the queen wasn't having a baby, like she weren't going to have any children. But my dad had to like kind of go back and rewrite bits of it to include this child, and he said he added on about 3 extra chapters. And Cora's been writing a story as well. And Cora was saying, I said, you've not written your story for ages. And she said, I know I'm at a really boring bit and I just can't be bothered writing it. And I was like, it's your story though. You're writing the story. It's like, yeah, but I need to write this bit so that the next bit can happen. And then at weekend, my dad was saying that he'd not been writing his story for a while. And I was like, why have you not been writing your story? And he pretty much said the same thing as Cora. He was like, because I'm at a really boring bit and I just can't be
Mhm.
bothered writing it. And I was like, Cora's just said the same thing last week. And then they had a conversation about writing this book and this bit of like that they both perceived as being a little bit boring. And in a way, like life can feel like that, can't it? It can feel like you're just plodding along on that day-to-day grind and it feels monotonous, it feels a bit boring. But actually, maybe we need to do a little bit of that so we get to the bits that feel a little bit more exciting. But yeah, moving forward.
If anyone remembers, we interviewed a business coach, Amanda McKinney, in season two. I think it was season two, right? Or was that
Hmm.
season one?
Two,
Oh,
two.
yeah. And you know, one thing, she was my business coach for a while, and one of the things that she always mentioned, you know, is like we get in these sort of cycles of business where we're just looking at those big things and we don't want to do the little things, right? We're not excited about those little things. We want to just do these big shiny things. And so we kind of skip those little things in the business, which are really important. And you know, to kind of take that step back and look at those little tiny things and just how important that they are, and you know, how we can gain from them, what we can gain from them. And I think this is like, you know, like life in general. When, like you were mentioning, you know, you get these boring bits and you're just kind of plodding along and you're not really, like, you're just kind of focusing on like these big things. But then like coming back to, you know, this season where we've been talking all about the senses, coming back to your senses, right? Taking that time to really observe and be mindful of the time that you're living and to enjoy it, to be grateful for these times, even if they don't seem super exciting, right? Even if they don't like have that like fancy glow around them because you're doing something completely different, right? There's still beauty there. There's still wonderful moments there that we, because we're plodding along, because we're, you know, focused on something else, we're not noticing them. And, you know, it's like that. I don't know if anyone else has these experiences, but it happens to me quite a bit. I'll be walking down a street in the city, and then all of a sudden, like, because of how the light hits, or because of like, finally, I'm not actually thinking about what I'm having to do and or what I should have done, right? And I really see a building and like it's beautiful, you know? And you're like, whoa, I've never really noticed that building before. Like I've lived here for like, you know, 12 years. And I've never noticed this, but like, was it changed? Have they redone the facade or something? No. You know, it's just that I'm finally taking that moment to pause and observe it, because the clouds have parted, right, in my head. And I think that you know, when we take these moments to connect with our senses, as we've talked about this whole season, that helps like open the skies a bit. That helps us focus on those moments. And so, you know, that plotting becomes more of maybe rambling, you know? And so like, you're not just like thud, 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 but you're like, oh, what's over here? Oh, what's over here? And not in like you get like super distracted, but like, oh, isn't that beautiful? There's these birds up in the sky, or there's, you know, this wonderful connection that I'm having with my friend, or whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And sometimes we have to do it quite purposefully as well, don't we? We have to make that decision to go, okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to look. I'm just going to stop and look. And you know, today's our kind of our final episode, isn't it, of this season as well. And maybe this gives us a little bit of an opportunity to kind of just stop and just look and reflect on maybe moments in the season that kind of jump out to us as well. I don't know what you're thinking. I am just putting Tess on the spot as well. We've not spoken about this before.
Yeah. You know, I think there are so many wonderful moments in this season of like talking to lots of different people from different backgrounds. Um, you know, I think a moment that, you know, kind of like what we're talking about now is when we were oh, of course, name is just totally jumped out of my head. Your colleague, Sue, thank you. Sorry, Sue, if you're listening to this, totally mind blank. When Sue mentioned look up, you know, and just take that time to pause and just look up, look around you.
Yeah.
You know, and like that is such a beautiful thing. And it's so easy for all of us to do, and yet so difficult. And, you know, and bringing that mindfulness, as you're saying, is, you know, that purposefulness of coming in and say, okay, I'm just going to look up. I'm just going to look to see what I have around me.
Oh, most definitely. The thing that came to my head then is when I'm taking the kids to school, and especially when I take Cora to school, because obviously she goes to big school, and obviously there's lots of bigger kids around. And the amount of kids that are not looking up, you do see quite a lot now actually that are chatting away to the friends, and you know, it's really nice to see them playing, and you know, they're just being silly, and you know, and it's actually really lovely to see actually kids being silly and just playing. But then you also see some kids that their head's down and they're just looking at the phones. And I'm like, oh, they're going to get run over. I have this real panic that they're going to get run over. Because, I mean, the amount of times you just walk in front of a car or something like that. And it just makes you think, like, just look up, stop looking at your phone. Stop. And that's something that as adults we could all be reminded of as well. Stop burying our heads in technology. Look up and see what's around you. The technology is always
Yeah.
going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very rare that it's a life, threatening situation that we don't look at our our phones, like we can put them away for a little bit. It is okay. Life will continue. And I think so often we need that, oh, but what's happening now? What's happening now? Okay. Just look up, look around.
Yeah,
Enjoy the life and the moment, the present moment that you're in. Yeah, did you have
definitely.
any specific moments during this last season?
I took quite a lot away, I think, from when we spoke about like art and colour. And yeah, I
Yeah, with
really just
Kiari.
and just kind of thinking about how it's connected to how we're feeling and mood and culture. Like as a systemic therapist, I'm really interested in how we're influenced by the world around us as well, and how that not only impacts on us individually, but how that impacts on society and our family systems and things like that. So actually to hear about how in different cultures, like colours used differently and actually it reflects the climate and things like that. I can't remember where she said it. Was it somewhere in the Caribbean where she was talking about how like vibrant colours would be used and things and I can't remember where it was she said though now. And I just find that really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, she's from Peru. Was she talking about Peru? I'm not remembering
Poss
exactly.
Possibly,
Yeah.
possibly. But in my head, I've got like that she was talking about somewhere like Jamaica or something like that, or the Dominican,
Very possibly. We had
maybe.
to re-listen to these episodes.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember
Uh,
where it was. She said, but it kind of led on to that conversation, and I find that really fascinating.
yeah. Yeah. No, completely. Completely, completely.
And
I think,
yeah, how the sun. So just kind of just thinking about because I talk about weather, as I said before, all the time, but actually how when it is sunny, how that people feel better. And is that
oh
because of
yeah.
how it reflects on the land, how it reflects on the colours and the colours look like the grass looks more vibrant, everything looks brighter.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just having, the our body is designed to work with light, right?
Mm,
The blue light that's in that sun, that's what wakes you up. That's what gives you that energy. And so that's
yeah,
why like looking at your phone right before bed, because it has blue light in it, is not actually great for our brains because it turns our brain on. Because our brain is like, oh, blue light, which means wake up time, not go to sleep
yeah,
time. So there's lots of things. We get the nutrients and the vitamins from being outside and being in that sunlight. And then as you say, like the color, I'm sure having that lightness and that vibrancy is really helpful for sure.
definitely, definitely. One of the things, Tess, we also said that this is going to be another last. So that we've kind of made the decision purely because of like circumstances around like work and us being busy doing other projects and things like that. And that we've noticed that in this season we've not been able to dedicate as much time as we wanted to the season. Um, that we're going to just pause for a little while and just see. We might kind of come back to it again at some point, but that we did make that decision to pause after this season. Um,
Yep. Yep. Yeah, like, like we were talking about at the beginning, it's kind of that bittersweet, like it's super exciting that we both of us have these, fun things going on and it's taking up our attention. But it's also sad because I've really enjoyed this experience of, putting together this podcast with you and meeting up almost every other week to, to record and to share and connect with others. So, it's been a wonderful experience. I'm so happy that we did it. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
me on this
you.
journey of the happy edit. And thank you everyone who has come and been a part of it with us as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And to kind of just reiterate, Tess, as well, like it has been an amazing journey, and I wouldn't have wanted to do it with anyone else. And yeah, thank you as well. And thank you for putting up with me because, for all the listeners out there, I literally turn up and Tess does all the work behind it, all the background stuff. So, actually Tess is the one really behind doing all the work behind this. I actually just turn up.
You share ideas too.
Ish. I do. No, I share ideas. I do share ideas. But no, on a serious note, like, Tess has really put like a heart and soul into doing this. So I hope everybody has enjoyed listening to the content and stuff like that. And we're still gonna have the Instagram and we can still post stuff on there. We're not gonna get rid of it. Well, I don't think we are. I'm just making decisions on the spot. And
I
if
mean, it's under
anybody
your
wants
name, so.
anything, yeah, it's under my name.
I'm the one
And
that posts, but it's under.
Tess still posts on there. Did a few.
Yeah.
And when I say a few, 5. But yeah, if people have got ideas, we might come and do like a one-off thing
Yeah.
if something kind of takes our interest and we think, oh, we want to share this. So I don't think it's the end. We're just going to take a step back for a little while.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a final happy edit tool.
Do I?
I don't know.
Oh, final happy edit tool. My final happy edit tool would be to observe how your feet are connected to the earth. Notice the different points where your feet meet the earth and where the earth comes up to meet your feet.
I like that. Oh, I like that. That made me feel a bit emotional. I don't know why. A little bit emotional. Yeah.
Me too.
I think if I was going to say one, I think I'd steal Sue's and I'd say look up.
Yeah. Feel. I like that combination. Feel your feet connected to the earth and look up.
Yeah. And do a little dance. Oh, well, as always, thank you, Tess. I've appreciated this journey.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Me too. It's been super fun. And, I'm going to raise a little parting glass to you, my
Yes.
mug.
Cold
And
tea, coffee.
yeah, my mint tea that from my garden, mint from the garden.
And you're gonna add a little song onto the end of this one, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, a little parting glass from us to all of you.
Yes. Well, everybody take care. If you need any support, please get in contact with us, reach out. And thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you, oh. So fill to me the parting glass, and drink a health wherever befall, and gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be with you, oh. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it fell unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I gently rise and softly call.